Today we're out at Windrock, and I'm going to look at two new trail sections that were added in the last couple months. This one we're about to hit is their first, what I'll call true blue trail, and they're building it intentionally to kind of make the park more accessible for newer riders. I'm going to ride it pretty aggressively so I can hit all the more difficult lines or options, but you can slow roll this whole thing even as a almost green beginner rider, I think. And then it does meet up with Talladega after a short bit, so it's not a full trail yet. They're working on the continuation now, and I think the vision is to have it go almost all the way down the mountain in its blue form. So let's take a look at this, and then after Talladega we'll take a little sneaky line over to the new lower reach around, which also opened in the last several weeks. So some really cool new trails, a lot of trail work being done, but let's take a look at this. So we start on Cave Boy. So this is the beginning of Cave Boy, with that little, not little table, but relatively small table to start out with. And then it comes to this gap, and you probably saw me clip it a little bit with my back wheel. Just pace this off. This thing is, man, 21 feet, and you really don't have the speed you need coming off of that, because it's really not big enough to get the speed you need. So when I want to clear this comfortably, I do pedal down that thing and give this thing a good yank. And then right here is where Cave Boy splits off, and then the new blue trail starts. And then instead of Cave Boy, we go straight here, and this is the new blue trail. It has a couple cool features like that. Here we are right around the first corner on the blue trail. This is that first optional rock drop. You can roll it very comfortably through here, which is probably the design for the first time rider. I did do this little rock gap. The rock ledge comes up to about my waist. Get some perspective on this. And the gap's only 8 feet. So with this knuckle being as rounded off as it is, and this gap being really short, this is a great way for a newer rider to kind of experiment with some kind of bigger feature techniques. That drop is really small, so it's not a black feature by any means, but it does give you a little bit of an option to progress. Same thing with this, really small. And here's that second rock drop feature. A little bit shorter actually in terms of the rock ledge itself, but the gap is a little bit longer. There's really no knuckle here, so as long as you can get over these rocks, you could just land it to flat if you wanted to. But it is about 9-10 feet to clear it completely, and this is definitely something that you won't hit accidentally, because you have to kind of take a hard right over those rocks after that turn to even get up on this little ridge, which isn't very big to get over and pull this, but it's actually a really fun little feature. Looking forward to riding this some more. An option to progress. Same thing with this. Really small, but perfect for a newer rider who's trying to kind of grow as they take laps. And right here, we meet up with Talladega. So that's as far as they got on that right now. Like I said, work continues. And if you haven't seen my recent video on Talladega, these top berm sections and the whole top jump sections have been resurfaced, so this is all running really nice right now. Oh, I love that jump. And this table, the right side is the smooth side. Just a little mental note there. All right, now we're gonna stay on Talladega a little bit longer, and then we're gonna get to the bridge that you normally go over, and we're gonna go under it. And that will follow an old trail that cuts across the mountain to kind of sneak over to lower reach around. If you take Cave Boy to Snake Rock, it'll dump you into lower reach around also. But if you want to avoid the techie stuff, this line that I'm doing right here, these connection trails are the kind of flowier way to get over there. Whew. Man, that's fast. All right, so this bridge we would normally go over, but instead, I'm gonna double check, make sure no one's coming down. Trail one. And then you can basically cut straight across on this line, which is a little rough, not terrible. I guess it just depends on how fast you're gonna hit it. And then right here, you kind of have to be careful because there's a trail intersection right there and right here. So you definitely want to take a quick look up, make sure no one's coming down on you. And this is a whole new section of trail for lower reach around. Very flowy. The jumps aren't real big. This is the first roll in on lower reach around, and I want to take a look at this gap. It can look a little intimidating because you're coming down at a pretty steep pitch here. So when you do hit this, you just feel like you're going pretty fast, but it's only about 10, 11 feet to get over this knuckle. So it's not a big pull. It's just one of those things that can look a little weird the first time. Yeah, cool. And then it just kind of rolls out through those berms until we get to those 3 doubles. The jumps aren't real big, but I definitely had to look at them a few times before I was comfortable pulling on them. And there's one I haven't done yet. This one, man, need a lot of speed. And here we are at the first significant gap. It pulls off right here. You can see a little perspective there. It is a 21-foot pull, and coming down from this angle, this looks like it's elevated. And it might be by half a foot or whatever, but you can see it's pretty level. It just looks like a big knuckle when you face it. But you do need to pretty much no break that entire berm. And then for me, especially on a bigger bike, I have to pull a good amount to get over this. And then it rolls right into that flat table, which you can overshoot pretty easily. But this is a really fun jump. And it's got a huge lander on it, so really like that one. And then this you can overshoot, and then this one you have to pull for. So I do like the challenge of that section, but it is kind of a pull, squish, pull sort of situation. Good tip on this little thing, this drop. And here we are at the end of the first roller section. It comes into this pretty small drop. First time in, it does look a little significant, but this is only like maybe 3 feet, unless you pull and send it down a little bit further. But this is where we just start to get into the first off-camber bit. And the trick here I learned was that it looks like the trail should go high left, but this larger tree right here, if you hug that, you can kind of see a little bit of trail sticking out right there. That's the line I take in the POV, and that's definitely the line you want, because if you go high, it's hard to come down and hold this next corner. But if you hug that tree, you can go right through, and it feels like a pretty straight shot. Good tip on this little thing. This drop makes you look like you want to go left, but if you go right, it's a much easier line. And this is the first off-camber section, and here's that first bit of off-camber. So you can see this in here. If you stay low, it's really not that far off. Up here, you do get a little bit more, and as I mentioned in the previous shot, it's hard to hold this corner if you go high. And then you can see some more of that off-camber grade. Not really that bad, just enough to kind of grab your attention, give you a little bit of a challenge. Not too off-camber, just enough to kind of make it challenging, but not sketchy. This is the drop I haven't hit yet. Pretty big gap, and the lander's gonna be a little dicey, I think. And now we got more flowy stuff. And then around another corner here, we'll get into the last bit of off-camber stuff. And I normally don't like off-camber riding. It just makes me really nervous. But this is, I think, the sweet spot for me in terms of, you know, challenging and fun, but not, you know, feeling like you're on the edge the whole time. So normally I don't ride off-camber stuff, but I really like that trail. And then here we dump in to the exit that all the trails take. And right down this hill, we'll be at the pickup. I like that little ride around here. It's fun. And there it is. The beginning of the new blue trail into Talladega with a cutover to the new lower reach around. Great section of trail right there. Love it.